So, yeah. Let's talk about the benchmarks of the Google Pixel Fold and the Galaxy Z Fold 5. Because that is definitely something, especially when you're thinking about buying whatever phone you want to buy, that's the first thing you're going to look at is how powerful all these devices. Are they powerful enough that you're going to be able to do your day-to-day operations? Are they powerful enough that you're going to be able to multitask to a correct level and be able to really take advantage of how powerful a phone can be? Well, on paper, it looks very good for the Google Pixel Fold. It has 12 gigabytes of RAM, has a Tensor G2 chip, not G3, but definitely still a really good G2 chip. And it comes with all the bells and whistles you would see on a foldable smartphone. With that $1,800 price tag, you kind of grow to expect that. But for the benchmarks here, and this is coming from Phone Arena, this benchmark was posted by My Smart Price, which does include the brand new Google Pixel Fold right here. But if you compare it to the Galaxy Z Fold 5 and Flip 5, it isn't even in the same hemisphere. Now, obviously, the Z Fold 5 will be using the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor, while we have the Tensor G2 chip, which is a tad bit old. Let's be honest, the G3 chip comes out in October, so it's not like this is the latest and greatest chip from Google, while we're seeing the latest and greatest come out from Samsung. Now, if you guys are confused, the left-hand side here is the Z Flip 5, and the right-hand side is Z Fold 5. Why is the Z Flip 5 better benchmark in the Z Fold 5? We have no idea why. We just know the different iterations because the RAM size on the left image is 8 gigabytes of RAM, while the right image is 12, which obviously is 812. It's the Z Fold 5, Z Flip 5. So, the Google Pixel, according to this benchmark, scores worse than the Z Fold 5 and the Z Flip 5. Now, I will say it like this. Every benchmark we talk about and I like to cover, always take every benchmark with a grain of salt, to a certain degree. Like, you can look at it and say, okay, well, we know how this phone can be really powerful. But the thing is, there's so many different factors when benchmarking different products that it's really going to be a hard to 1000% be able to say, okay, well, this one benchmark is going to dictate how good this device actually is, how powerful this device actually is. You get a general baseline of how powerful it can be, but you don't get 1,000% like, okay, this is it. Now, compared to a Z Fold 4 and a, Surface Duo 1 or Surface Duo 2, this is still not really that amazing. For Z Fold, for Surface Duo 1, this is a lot more comparable, numbers wise. For Surface Duo 2, it's a little bit in the same ballpark range. For Z Fold 4, not really. Z Fold 4 multi-core is kind of similar, but single core is better on the Z Fold 4. It's just really quite disappointing to see these numbers. And I'll be honest with you, I was not expecting to see, this pool of a performance out of the Pixel Fold, especially because it is an $1,800 device. And, them going with the Tensor G2 chip instead of going with someone like a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip, which they could have went with, is quite the interesting, decision. Even a Gen 2 chip we saw with the Motorola's phones, their flippable phones, even those phones were scoring pretty dang high on the benchmarks. So it's going to be interesting to see how, once I do get this phone in my own hands and I'm able to benchmark it and test it out and see how powerful it is. I can't wait to see, maybe these benchmarks are a little bit of screwed up, maybe they're a little bit, not telling the whole truth, and sometimes benchmarks do that. But I'm going to tell you right now, this is definitely not a good look for the opening $1,800 iteration of this phone. You really would expect it at least to be able to beat out the Surface Duo 3 and make very comparable with, other smartphones on the market right now in the foldable phone industry. Especially because, again, you're spending an arm and a leg to get this phone. It's not like this is a $1,100 version of a foldable phone and, it's like, well, yeah, this phone, obviously it's not like, obviously, this phone is like, oh, well, I'm getting a good budget, cheap option for affordable phone, so I expect it to score less. No, you expect this phone to be as best equal to or better than the competition out there. So definitely a tad bit interesting, but definitely tell me down below your thoughts and opinions, guys, and I'll see you guys next one.